How's it going, everybody? My name's Warner Fields with Fields of Profit. I'm a full-time mid-six-figure Amazon seller, and in today's video, I'm going to walk through the exact tools that I use in my business and how I'd recommend you add tools as you go. We're going to be starting as though you're selling $0 a month and then go all the way up into the advanced levels. I'm going to be kind of suggesting the tools you actually do need, right? Because there's so many tools out there. I'm sure you might be a little confused on what you actually do need. I get questions all the time about if people should use softwares that are for like completely the wrong business model. So we're going to take you from true beginner all the way to the more advanced tools, talk about exactly why and when you need to buy these tools. If you're brand new to the channel, or if you haven't already checked it out, there's gonna be a link down below for our completely free Amazon seller Discord. Over 15,000 people in there, tons of great free information. Would love to see you in there, but let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, starting from square one here, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the first tool that I recommend. This one's free, awesome for anyone at any level. It's this little box right here. This one's called DS Amazon Quick View. It's a free Chrome extension, and it will embed on any product search pages just like this. It'll show you the sales rank, it'll show you the ASIN, and this is probably the most important feature right here, this sold by Amazon button. So you see when I'm looking through these products, I can see that this product is sold by Amazon, which means I need to avoid that product. If you're brand new, Amazon does not share sales with us as third-party sellers, so we wanna find listings where Amazon's not on them. So we want to avoid these listings, right? But in this case, we've got 7+ FBA sellers. We've got 2+ FBA sellers, no Amazon sellers on these listings. Now that means that these could be good opportunities for us to go ahead and go after because we're not going to be competing with Amazon. This is a very simple tool, free. It makes no sense to not get it. So that's the first tool. The next two tools I want to go ahead and talk about are Keepa. This one is down here on the bottom, and then SellerAmp. I would highly recommend you get both of these as a beginner. Keepa is about 20 bucks a month. SellerAmp is 18 bucks a month. Very, very affordable, and will save you way more time than those 20 to 18 bucks is worth to you. That's, you have to start thinking about that as you're starting a business. Maybe you're somewhere along the road in your business. You have to think about the fact that your time is worth money, right? So if you're investing in these tools that are 20 bucks, 18 bucks, if that saves you 30 minutes, it's worth it, right? In this case, these tools definitely save you time, and they will absolutely save you money. So a very basic breakdown of Keepa here. If you want a full tutorial, there's videos on that on my channel, as there will be for all the softwares I talk about. This is just gonna kind of walk you from selling $0 all the way to putting up some really good numbers. So Keepa, SellerAmp right at the beginning. This tool right here, very basics, right? So the green line here is the sales rank. That's going to show us basically anytime this item is selling. So we can see anytime that there's a drop, that's roughly one sale. So it's not an exact science because you can see it gets kind of hard to count a lot of these drops. And especially for the super high, very fast selling items, it's impossible to count all the drops. So you can look at the sales rank to get an estimate of how fast these items are selling. And then the next important things I would go ahead and look at are the new price line. And I'm actually going to go ahead and throw in the buy box price line. So the buy box is going to show you the price that customers are actually paying. So you can see sometimes there's actually a difference between the price that the low price, so this blue price is going to be the low price, and the purple line, which is the buy box price, meaning they're actually paying that price. So the buy box price line is super important to look at, because if you looked at this without the new price line, you might decide to price this item at $19.38. But with the buy box, you know that we can sell this item for $21.71, and that could make a big difference, right? So that could increase our profits by a whole lot. So the buy box price line is super, super important. There's a ton of stuff that you could look into with Keepa. I'm not going to get into the major specifics of it. There's also tons of useful data on here. Like we can look at the buy box statistics over here, and we can see exactly who sold it, the last time they sold it, what percentage of the buy box they're winning. We can just see so much information. We can see the offers tab here. We can look at the price history per seller and a rough estimate of how many units they're selling. So there's a ton of useful information in Keepa. Highly recommend getting Keepa. The next tool I want to go ahead and talk about here is SellerAmp, but this tool is basically a multi-tool. It's a Swiss Army knife for your business. So we can go ahead and use this as a profit calculator, right? So this is a pack of 6. Let's just hypothetically say we're buying these for $1 a unit. We can go ahead and plug this in to our cost price here. That's going to spit out our ROI. And the nice part about this is back in my settings, I've actually configured this to include costs like prep and shipping. So this is giving me my true profit, not just my, plugging into an Amazon FBA calculator. It's plugging that in and considering how much it costs me to prep items and ship those items. So this makes it a lot more powerful, saves you some time. Not to mention it's got a sales estimator, which I used to pay for a different Chrome extension that was $200 a year just to have sales estimators. And this one's a better sales estimator. So there's great features there, right? You've got ranks, you've got all this important information here. I also forgot to mention there's just so much on this tool. It'll show you if it's meltable, which is another thing you need to worry about. It's also going to try to predict if it's a private label product, and it has a little bit of an IP tool baked into it. We'll talk about that here in a second, but so many features on this. It's got the profit calculator. It's got your Google Sheets, so you can export it. My virtual assistants use this to keep their leads separate. You could maybe export it to, let's say I want to make a button called Christmas, and then anytime I come across a good Christmas product, I'll go ahead and throw it on the spreadsheet, and then come October, November, I can go ahead and look at that spreadsheet and find some great Christmas items. The next reason that I love this tool is this feature right here, the offers tab. This makes sourcing a ton faster, and this is probably my favorite way to source as a beginner. So I went ahead and clicked just any of these offers here. And now I can actually go ahead and look through every single product they're selling with Keepa charts, with a buy box price line, and the predicted cost for what we're going to need to pay for these items. So this is super handy when I'm looking at these listings like this. I can say, I'm probably not gonna be able to buy this for $186. This might be a little expensive, but this is only $4. So maybe if I can get these for $2 a bottle, I'll go ahead and check it out. And then I'll just go ahead and press the Google button, and it's gonna pull it up. It'll see if I can find them cheap enough to flip, right? Same thing here. Like maybe I can buy this for $10. Maybe I can't. I'll go ahead and click the Google button, see if I can find it. In this case, looks like it might be a little too expensive, or even here, if this is the same thing, that would be $9.68. That would be a profitable product right there. So I'm not going to go into sourcing on this, but that makes sourcing much faster if you do it with SellerAmp. So that kind of brings me into the next tool I want to talk about, which is IP Alert. So I'll go ahead and drag that over here. Like I said, SellerAmp does have a IP checker baked into it, but I haven't found it to be insanely accurate. I would like to see it become more accurate, but for now, I'm going to still have to recommend using IP Alert. This tool embeds on any item you're selling, and it's going to show up right there with that little red siren. So you can see that this is warning us that if you try to sell this product, you're probably going to get an IP complaint. And so this is probably the last tool I would recommend getting right before you've sold anything. If you're on a super tight budget, maybe you can skip IP Alert, but it's going to help safeguard your account. And if you get an IP complaint as a brand new seller, it's going to hurt a lot worse than once you get into doing more sales. Amazon trusts your account a little bit more. But if you were to source this product here and you immediately sell a product, you immediately get an IP complaint, you're going to be in some hot water with Amazon. So that's why I personally, like if I had to do it over again, I would get IP Alert, but do that, it's up to your own risk tolerances. And I am able to hook you guys up with a coupon for this as well. If you want to check that out, there's a link down for this software extension down below. As with most of the tools in this video, there's going to be some coupons and stuff that you guys can check out. So this tool, very simple, but it will play a vital role in protecting your Amazon business. So that brings us on to our next tool. And this is a tool I would recommend getting once you've done maybe $1,000 or $2,000 in sales, probably around there in the monthly mark. So once you do $1,000 a month in sales, go ahead and get this tool. It's called Be Cool. It's a repricing tool. Essentially allows you to plug in a minimum and maximum price. You can see a bunch of items that I've sold in the past. I was able to plug in a minimum and maximum price, and then I can even set custom rules on here. You can see all these rules I've got in here. The AI rules specifically helped really level up my business. This repricer is super powerful. Like I said, you can set custom rules, you can set minimums and maximums on your prices, so that way it's not going to go below what price you really want to pay for it and then you're losing money. You definitely want to avoid that as a new seller, especially. Don't want to get demoralized by a repricer doing things you don't want it to. So I've had a great experience with Be Cool, and the basic plan on this one's only $25 a month. So once you're generating a little bit in sales, I would recommend throwing it on there, because you have to think about the fact that a repricer that's automatically watching your listings, repricing every 15 minutes or so, making sure that your prices are competitive, especially once you've got a couple products in your catalog, that's definitely worth $25, right? That's going to make you way more than $25 if you've got something constantly monitoring your prices, auditing there to make sure you're price competitive, make sure you're getting as many sales as possible. So that brings me on to the next tool I want to talk about, and this is kind of the same thing. I would recommend getting it around the $1,000 to $2,000 a month mark. So you can see this ASIN here. So let's say I'm going to list this Borderlands video game. If you list through Amazon Seller Central, it's a fairly time-consuming process, but with Inventory Lab, it makes it much simpler and it handles your accounting for you. So we can go ahead and let's say we're listing this Borderlands video game. Here's the ASIN right here. So I'm going to go ahead and search it. Then it's going to pull it up. I'm just going to select it. So it says, hey, you sold this in the past. Do you want to replenish it? So that's nice. So you can sync up your SKUs if you really want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and press that for now. So it's going to show you all the offers over here. You can click any of these buttons and price that item at that price point. If you list through Amazon, there's going to be a multi-step process for each item, but here it's all on one screen. So that's going to save you a bunch of time. So you can go ahead and plug in your quantity, your cost per unit, your supplier. So that's all going to go into your accounting dashboard within Inventory Lab, which is very nice because it's going to say, so let's, hypothetically, I bought this from Bed Bath & Beyond. I probably bought this at a thrift store a while back, but then I can go back and track, I'm not very profitable at Bed Bath & Beyond, but I'm really profitable at Target. So I'm going to go buy some more stuff from Target because those items tend to tank a little bit more. And you can also, just for tax purposes, it's going to store all of your cost of goods sold, which can be pretty tricky. And I know a lot of new sellers especially have super complicated spreadsheets going on when really Inventory Lab is probably the solution you're looking for. And not to mention, this is going to make the shipment creation process as a whole much easier, because all I have to do is let's say I want to throw it at this price. I'm going to add it to the batch. Then it's going to just print it out on my label printer instead of having to do it later. So it saves me touches on my items, right? So, after you're done with that, you're just going to press review. Then it'll walk you through very easily the creation process of making a shipment. It's just a lot simpler. This tool is $50 a month. I I'm not even an affiliate of this software. I just think it's a great tool to invest in your business. The next tool I want to go ahead and talk about is once you're kind of leveling up a little bit. Let's say you're doing $3,000, $5,000 a month in sales. Depending on how much capital you have to dump into this business, it's kind of going to be up to your own discretion on this. But the next tool I recommend is Tactical Arbitrage. This tool is $90 a month. Link down below for a 10-day free trial if you want to check it out. But this, very simply, I'll go ahead and walk you through. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it, but this is going to scan websites automatically for profit potential. Let's say I want to search Walmart. I'll go ahead and plug in Walmart here. And then over here on the side, I could pick, let's say beauty. So now I'm going to go ahead and add that to my scan. And now I'm scanning every single beauty product at Walmart to see if it's going to be profitable to flip on Amazon. And this just helps automate the sourcing process a lot. Now, granted, there's going to be some issues with mismatches and you got to make sure you're using the tool correctly. Again, there's videos on my channel walking you through how to be really efficient with this software. But this is something that I would recommend getting, like I said, probably closer to the $5,000 a month in sales mark, because it is $100. You don't want it to eat up a significant amount of your inventory budget. And I honestly just really like the method that I was talking about here where we click through with SellerAmp. This method is super powerful. This is probably the method that I personally use more. My virtual assistant team tends to use Tactical Arbitrage a little bit more, whereas this method tends to be better for me to really dig in deep and find some good opportunities. But Tactical Arbitrage, great software. Would highly recommend it if you are, especially if you're struggling to find inventory, but you've got capital on deck. That's where investing in tools that make sourcing easier makes a lot of sense, because you don't want to have money sitting in the bank, right? If you've got money sitting in the bank, it's time to invest in tools that make sourcing easier for you, because that's going to grow your business a lot more long term. So that's going to take us into this last tool that I would recommend. I've not talked about this one on the channel very much, but it is kind of an extender to Tactical Arbitrage. It's called Tactical Expander. I guess I could just use the word expander, but basically it adds, I think it's close to 200 websites. So let's say I want to scan Adidas, right? So if I go over here to Tactical Arbitrage and I type in Adidas, that I can't, right? I just can't search Adidas. You've got about 500 websites or so within Tactical Arbitrage. But if I have Tactical Expander, all I have to do is click Tactical Expander up here in this top right corner on my Chrome extensions. And then I just click run. And let's say I went ahead and pulled up the sales section of Adidas here. So now it's just going to automatically run through the clearance items at adidas.com, which people who have Tactical Arbitrage don't have the opportunity to scan these websites. So this is going to give you that competitive advantage, right? So you can see it's just automatically scrolling through here, and it's going to start adding this data into Tactical Expander. You can see it loaded up a bunch of that information, and then I'm just going to stop it for the video's sake. But then I click export to Tactical Arbitrage, export to TA, and then I go back over here to Tactical Arbitrage, and I can actually go ahead and select that search. And you can see here it's ready for me to go ahead and run a search with those items that I pulled, and other people would not be able to do that, right? So you can see some of the sites that I've been sourcing with using this method. So very powerful tool. This one is a little bit more on the expensive side. When I bought it, it was lifetime. I think it's a subscription kind of thing now, but there's links down below for that if you want to check that out. I would call this a much more advanced strategy. So just to recap and talk about the exact tools that I would recommend for your business. If you are a brand new seller, you're going to go ahead and get DS Amazon Quick View, you're going to get Keepa, you're going to get SellerAmp, and I would highly recommend IP Alert, but that one's a little bit more flexible. So that's what you have right at the beginning. Those tools are going to be able to allow you to do some reverse sourcing. It's going to keep your account safe. It's going to make sure that you see the past history of those items, make sure you're going to stay profitable. Then once you get to the $1,000 to $2,000 a month sales range, then you're going to go ahead and get Be Cool Repricer. It's going to make sure you're getting more and more sales, definitely worth that cost, especially once you start generating a little bit of sales. And then I would also recommend Inventory Lab. That's just a good investment into saving your time as far as creating shipments, gives you more time to go out and buy more profitable inventory rather than wasting your time prepping shipments, right? So then once you've gotten your business progressed a little bit more, go ahead and get Tactical Arbitrage. Let's call it the $5,000 a month mark. And again, these numbers are up to your own discretion. If you've got a bunch of money to start, go ahead and hop in with all these tools and you'll probably be better off. But for those of you, I know I didn't start with a ton of money. I know all these tools seem like they're really, really expensive. So I just kind of wanted to break down what point I would recommend getting these tools at if I had to do it over again with the same amount of money I had. But then after you scale a little bit with Tactical Arbitrage, if you want to go ahead and invest in Tactical Expander, get those extra websites, then I would recommend getting Tactical Expander somewhere around $10,000 to $20,000 a month in sales. Or if you're having a ton of fun just using reverse sourcing, just using Tactical Arbitrage, it's not really necessary. It just allows you to see a little bit more opportunity, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got a ton of value out of it. If you did, please feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. That helps out my business. I'd really appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop those down below as well. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.